Have you ever held onto a thought, a really beautiful or complex thought about life, and looked around the room only to realize that there is no one you can safely hand it to? Welcome to a quiet space where we can talk about something that many people experience but rarely say out loud. A feeling that is often misunderstood as arrogance or aloofness, but is actually just a deep, quiet yearning for connection. If you are here, I want to reassure you right away that this is not about being smarter than anyone else. And it is certainly not about being better or more enlightened. Instead, we are exploring an early curiosity loop that might reframe how you see this experience, suggesting that this kind of loneliness is never really about how much knowledge you hold, but rather about the depth you are longing to explore alongside someone else. It can feel like a subtle ache, an intellectual loneliness where you are surrounded by people, perhaps even people you love dearly, yet you feel entirely unaccompanied in your mind. People often experience this not as a dramatic isolation, but as a gentle, persistent out-of-sync feeling during everyday interactions. You might be sitting at a dinner table, listening to the pleasant rhythm of laughter and casual updates about work or weather. And while you appreciate the warmth of the company, a part of you is quietly starving. You want to ask why things are the way they are, you want to explore the spaces between the words. You want to take a conversational thread and pull it until it unravels into something philosophical, existential, or just beautifully human. But you hesitate. You have likely learned the hard way that when you steer the conversation into deeper waters, the temperature of the room can change. Eyes might glaze over, or a polite silence falls before someone gently pivots back to safer, more familiar shores. It is never their fault, and many people notice this dynamic without any sense of blame, recognizing that we all have different appetites for depth at different times. Yet this is where the quiet distance forms. It forms in those micro moments of holding back, in the sentences you swallow, and in the ideas you quietly fold up and put back in your pocket because you do not want to make the atmosphere heavy or awkward. Some feel a subtle grief in these moments, a realization that their inner world is a vast, echoing landscape that they wander entirely alone. It is sometimes described as watching a beautiful, profound movie, but realizing the seat next to you is empty. And there is no one to lean over to and whisper, "Did you see that? Did you feel that?" Intellectual loneliness does not necessarily mean you are physically isolated, as many who feel this way have vibrant social lives, full calendars, and friends who care for them deeply. But having friends and having a safe harbor for your most complex thoughts are two very different things. It can feel deeply disorienting to be loved for who you are on the outside, while feeling that the vast majority of who you are on the inside remains entirely invisible to the people closest to you. You might find yourself playing a role, becoming the good listener, the entertainer, or the agreeable companion, just to keep the social gears turning smoothly. While this adaptation is a beautifully empathetic trait, it can leave you feeling exhausted, as if you are translating your soul into a simpler language just to be understood. Here is what depth quietly asks for. It asks for a shared curiosity, a willingness to wander into the unknown without needing immediate answers, and a mutual comfort with the abstract, the emotional, and the unresolved. Depth is not about quoting philosophers, using large vocabularies, or debating complex political theories, though those things can be genuinely interesting to some. Rather, it is often just a posture of wonder. It is the desire to look at a simple everyday occurrence and ask what it means about the human condition. It is the inclination to sit under a night sky and actually talk about how small we are, rather than just pointing out the constellations. When people long for deep conversations, they are often just longing for someone to match their willingness to be vulnerable with their thoughts. Someone who will not rush to fix a problem, but will simply sit in the complexity of it with them. It can feel deeply validating when you do find that rare person, even if just for a passing hour. Many people notice that when they finally stumble into a truly meaningful conversation, one where ideas bounce back and forth effortlessly, where curiosity is met with equal curiosity, they feel an incredible surge of energy. Time seems to slip away, the world outside the conversation fades, and they walk away feeling lighter, more awake, and profoundly seen. In these rare, beautiful moments, the heavy armor of pretending is finally set down, and two minds get to play freely. This contrast, however, can sometimes make the return to surface-level interactions feel even more stark, making the everyday world seem just a little bit quieter than before. It is so important to remember that wanting deeper conversations does not mean rejecting lightness, humor, or casual talk. Some people worry that craving depth makes them too intense or too serious, but the two are not mutually exclusive. Casual talk is the gentle glue of society. It is how we show we are safe, how we establish trust, and how we share the simple, rhythmic comfort of being human together. You can absolutely love a ridiculous joke, enjoy talking about a television show, or appreciate a lighthearted evening with friends, while still feeling that quiet tug for something more profound. Frame it instead as a human desire for connection through curiosity, much like needing different types of nourishment. You can enjoy a simple, sweet snack, but if you never get a full, hearty meal, you will eventually feel a lingering, persistent weakness. Intellectual loneliness is simply the hunger for that hearty meal of the mind. Some feel this hunger most acutely late at night, when the noise of the day has settled, and their thoughts begin to spin intricate webs of reflection. In those quiet hours, the longing for a conversational co-pilot becomes undeniable. It is a very vulnerable thing to share the unpolished, half-formed ideas that live in our minds. Because those ideas are often deeply tied to our core values, our deepest fears, and our most tender hopes for the future. When we invite someone into that space and they decline, even politely, it can feel like a subtle, unintentional rejection of who we are at our core. This is precisely why many people learn to build a gentle, protective wall around their inner lives. They become conversational chameleons, intuitively adapting to the tone and pace of whoever they are with, offering just enough of themselves to participate but keeping their deepest, most expansive reflections safely guarded. While this protects them from the awkwardness of mismatched energy, it also cements the quiet loneliness. But this is the gentle paradox of the quiet distance. We hide our depths to belong, but in doing so, we unintentionally prevent ourselves from being truly, fully known. Many people find an unexpected comfort in simply acknowledging this dynamic, realizing that there is nothing inherently wrong with them. Nor is there anything wrong with the people around them. It is truly simply a matter of frequency. Think of it like a radio dial. You are broadcasting on a specific frequency, a channel filled with gentle wonder, philosophical musings, and emotional exploration. But most of the radios around you happen to be tuned to a different station. Their music is perfectly fine, it is pleasant, it serves a purpose, and it brings people together in its own way. But it is not the music you are trying to play, and it is not the melody you need to hear. You do not need to turn your radio off, and you do not need to force anyone else to change their station. Sometimes there is immense, profound peace in just letting the music play for yourself, trusting that the beauty of the broadcast is not diminished simply because there are fewer listeners. Here is what this quiet acceptance can look like in everyday life. It looks like realizing that you can love your friends and family for exactly who they are, for the laughter they provide, for the shared history that anchors you, and for the practical, everyday support they offer, entirely without needing them to be your intellectual soulmates. We often put so much unspoken pressure on our immediate circles to be absolutely everything to us. Our confidants, our entertainers, our emotional rocks, and our intellectual peers. But it is entirely okay and often beautifully freeing to let people be exactly who they are, and to deeply appreciate the specific, unique kind of connection they bring into your life. You might have a friend who is wonderful for a coffee and an effortless laugh, another who is wonderfully grounded and great for practical advice. And perhaps somewhere out there or somewhere yet to be found, someone who can effortlessly meet you in the deep waters of thought. Until then, the quiet distance does not have to be a place of suffering or resentment. It can be a place of beautiful, solitary exploration. Many people find that when they gently stop fighting the loneliness, when they stop feeling frustrated by the shallow conversations, and simply accept them for the light connections they are, the ache begins to soften and transform. They begin to view their inner depths not as a burden or a social barrier, but as a rich, profoundly private garden. You can wander through that garden yourself, tending to your complex thoughts, reading books that feel like long-lost friends whispering across time, engaging with art that speaks directly to your soul, and writing down the intricate ideas that you currently have no one to share with. The ideas do not lose a single drop of their value just because they are not spoken aloud into a crowded room. They are still entirely yours, they still shape the contours of your mind, and they still make your experience of the world incredibly vibrant and textured. It can feel like a profound, life-altering shift when you begin to realize that your curiosity is a gift to yourself, first and foremost. People often experience a great, sweeping sense of relief when they finally give themselves permission to just be deep, to just be contemplative without constantly needing an audience to validate it. And yet, even with this acceptance, the desire for an audience, for a kindred spirit to walk within the garden, remains a deeply beautiful, fundamentally human thing. It is sometimes described as the eternal, quiet hope of the thinker, the gentle anticipation that one day someone will walk up to the gate of your mind. Look at the intricate, wild thoughts you have cultivated over the years and say, I see what you have grown here and it is absolutely beautiful. Can we walk through it together? Until that happens, or in the long, quiet spaces between those rare, magical occurrences, we can learn to sit with the loneliness gently without trying to rush it out the door. We can treat it like a familiar, quiet guest rather than an unwanted intruder. This guest does not come to mock our isolation. Rather, it comes to remind us of our immense capacity to feel, our boundless capacity to wonder, and our gentle, persistent refusal to live entirely on the dull surface of existence. When you look at it through this lens, intellectual loneliness is not a sign of failure. It is not a flaw in your character. And it is certainly not a sign that you are doomed to be isolated forever. It is simply a profound reflection of your capacity for depth, a mirror showing you how much you care about the world and your experience within it. Many people notice that when they finally embrace this capacity, when they stop apologizing for it, burying it, or hiding it behind a polite smile, they slowly start to emit a different kind of signal into the world. They might drop a tiny, gentle anchor in a casual conversation, a small, slightly deeper observation, a quiet question about why something is the way it is, just to see if anyone catches it. Often the anchor just sinks silently, no one notices, and that is perfectly okay. But every once in a while someone looks up, recognizes the quiet signal, feels the shift in the current, and gently drops an anchor of their own. Those moments, those rare, electric sparks of genuine intellectual recognition, are entirely worth the wait and the wandering. Here is a final thought to hold on to softly as we draw our reflections to a close. The intellectual loneliness you feel is not a void, it is a space waiting to be filled. It is the hollow part of an acoustic instrument that actually allows it to resonate, to echo, and to make beautiful music. If you were completely, easily satisfied with the surface of life, you would never feel the ache for something more. And you would never go looking for the profound, hidden beauty that lies beneath the everyday noise. The hunger for depth is the very thing that ensures you will never stop growing, never stop questioning, and never stop seeking a truer, more compassionate understanding of the world and your delicate place in it. So let us gently complete that early curiosity loop we opened at the very beginning of our time together. We suggested that longing for deeper conversation is often not about knowledge at all, but about feeling deeply alongside someone else. It is about wanting to be seen, truly and completely seen, in the very core of your unpolished thoughts. It is about the profound, undeniable human need to know that we are not entirely alone in our wonder, our confusion, our existential dread, and our awe. If you find yourself sitting in that quiet, solitary space today, feeling the heavy, beautiful weight of unspoken thoughts, I want to offer a gentle reframing for your journey forward. This loneliness is not a separation from the rest of the world. It is a quiet, steady signal that depth deeply matters to you. It is a comforting reminder that your inner world is vast, curious, and gloriously alive, and that you have a heart that is unwilling to settle for just the fading echoes of surface conversation. You are holding space for something remarkably beautiful, and even if there is absolutely no one sitting across the table to share it with right now, the space itself is deeply, intrinsically valuable. Keep wondering about the stars, keep pulling at the loose threads of existence, and keep allowing yourself to feel the full, vibrant spectrum of your curiosity. Because the world desperately needs people who are willing to look a little closer and feel a little deeper, even if they have to do it quietly by themselves for a little while. Your thoughts matter, your depth is a beautiful contribution to the human experience, and your longing is a powerful testament to the unending richness of your mind. If this reflection resonated with you, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for being here.